Hello and welcome to our viewers on cruxinvestor.com and also to our listeners on Cruxcast, our podcast series. And for those of you who are new to Crux Investor, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're speaking in a second to Mark Selby. He's the CEO of RNC Minerals. We spoke to him a month ago and he's going to give us an update as to what's been going on since then. They had a press release this morning about their drill results on the western flanks of their Bait Hunt project, but we're also going to be asking about Zone A, exploration drilling, his mining program, the resource update due in Q3, Higginsville, the GDXJ listing, Dumont, and his opinion about the recent Cobalt 27 acquisition. So Mark, hi, how are you?
Great, sir. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now you're doing the rounds in Toronto, and I know you were in New York also recently.
Yeah, no. Obviously, with today's release, getting lots of attention and lots of inbound inquiries. So it's been a good day.
Perfect. Well, that's why we called. So obviously, we've been through the press release. Do you want to give us the highlights in your own words?
Yeah, no. I mean, the key thing there is, when we bought this asset 2 years ago, we wanted to drill out the resource, get a mill in place, and so today's resource is, I think, a vindication of really what we saw as the sort of massive resource potential for the mine itself. So what we announced today is just for Western Flanks, a 710,000 ounce M&I resource and another 250,000 ounces of inferred, almost a million ounces combined. At a discovery cost of less than $5 an ounce. So, and Western Flanks remains open, up along strike and at depth as well. And again, we think these structures, can continue for many 100 meters. So we're very happy, with the results today. And now we're entering the phase of the exploration where we're going to start to step. Now we've proven, what the potential of one of these shears looks like. So we're going to step out and start to highlight, where the gold that we think exists in some of the other shears on the property.
Well, that's a great point to bring out. So this was just along 1 kilometer of one shear. You've got another 3 shears of aggregate 4 kilometers.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So lots of room to go find a lot more ounces.
Right. Now, I got to talk about the cutoff grade. Now, that's shifted from 1.8 to 1.6. You've got a grade tonnage curve diagram in the press release. We can see that, but maybe it's worth just explaining that for people why you've done that. In fact, why couldn't you have gone lower?
Yeah, no, I think with our own mill and with the mining costs that we think we'll be incurring on a go forward basis, we think that's the appropriate cutoff grade. I think you highlighted the grade tonnage curve there. And the point we made in the release is that there's 450,000 of that 750 is at 4 grams per ton. So, where we'll end up in a mining plan, which will be out by the end of the third quarter, is likely somewhere between that 3 and 4 grams, and it gives us, lots of ounces to work with. Right.
And I noticed you're also quite careful in the release to talk about and focus on the bulk tonnage and not the high grade nuggety, I think is the word of the day, coarse gold. Why is that?
We can't put a resource around it. So, it will be bonus ounces and bonus grade on top of whatever we have in the base resource today. So that's the way that investors should think about that going forward.
Okay, so like I say, I think it's quite a well-written press release. So perhaps people should have a look at that. There's a few diagrams in there. It's definitely worth looking at. You've also got a lot going on, and so we haven't spoken for a month, so I want to take advantage of you today. There's a lot going on. There's obviously Zone A. You may be making an announcement on that coming up over when is that due?
Yeah, so the way we've done it, we've got the Western Flanks resource out first. We'll get the A zone out probably sometime in the first half of August, and we'll, in one technical report filed 45 days from now, we'll have the report for both of those resources. So, it's not as big it's not as thick as resource as Western Flanks. So, we're not going to see the same total ounces, but, we should see a good bump in the resource from what we had in 2017.
Right. And between now and then you continue to drill?
Yeah. So we've got the one drill left that's working on the exploration holes, again. So, the diagram in the release, shows where the Fletcher zone is. in 2016, we put one hole out there, hit 25 meters at over 2.5 grams. Mineralization looked very similar to what we had at Western Flanks. We have our East Alpha, which is on the other side of the A zone. And again, from the historic nickel drilling, we literally have, hundreds, if not thousands of historical intersections from the nickel drilling that highlighted where the gold was. So, we've got lots of targets to go after. And as this phase, the drilling will be able to start to do that.
When we last spoke, you made a fabulous announcement in terms of the mining component. I mean, you've continued to mine, and you continue to make discoveries. And when do you expect to be able to talk about that?
Yeah, so we've been mining along the again on that 16 level. So we pulled out initially 1,000 ounces. We pulled out a little bit more. From there, we'll end up seeing what the final number is once we get that gold processed in the next week or two. But again, the key thing there is, we've gone at the intersection of the sediment shear 3 times, and we've hit it 3 times on the 14 level, 15 level, and now the 16 level. We still have all of those stoping blocks left in between. And again, if we've been pulling off 1,000 to 2,000 ounces per 5 meter level, you can do the math to see what the potential high grade coarse gold that we might find, once we stope those areas out. So, and that's stuff that we'll be doing between now and the end of this year.
Okay, and because I think we've talked previously about a resource update in Q3. That's still on schedule.
Yeah, that's correct. So we'll take it'll be a reserve update. So we'll actually have
okay.
Yeah. So we'll have the first reserve for Beta Hunt gold in the mine's history.
Right. Okay. It was obviously great. It was great news. I think everyone's expecting great things because they have done the maths, as you just asked. So the planning for the mine, that continues to evolve at the moment. Have your plans changed in terms of the kind of rigor and planning that you've put to that so far?
No, the first step in that was always getting a comprehensive resource in place, which we've now got for Western Flanks and we'll have shortly for the A zone.
Right.
and using that base, we'll look at the mine plan. Fundamentally, because of the scale, the thickness, Western Flanks is 10 to 40 meters wide. It provides us lots of opportunities to look at, different ways to mine it, potentially lower cost ways to mine it. We'll see where the mine plan comes out. But we're quite excited to have this much resource to work with, which should deliver a multi-year reserve for the mine, which is ultimately where we wanted it to get to when we acquired it back in 2016.
Right, and well, and talking of which, obviously the recent acquisition, and you did touch upon it earlier, Higginsville, that obviously comes with a few ounces in the ground too. I think some people are sort of curious as to what you've done in the last month since that deal closed, and do you have any sort of sense of what the mix between Beta Hunt ore and Bellew ore will need to look like or could look like, or is that still work in progress?
Yeah, so no, it's a work in progress, but again, with Higgins, whenever you acquire an asset, the key thing is to get the people right. So our team there has been actively managing that integration. That's gone well. Right. We've ran our first batch of hunt ore through. We don't have the final numbers yet, but based on the amount of gold we poured, we think the mill performed quite well. We're doing one of the last third-party tolls from there, and then the remainder of July, August, and September is going to be focused on Beta Hunt, and Higginsville material. By September, we should be, having quantities of ore from Bellew to feed the mill, and so, we're looking forward to a decent Q3 and a good Q4, which is when hopefully we'll be ramping, back up Beta Hunt to whatever we think the optimal level is from the reserve mine plan reserve update that'll be done at the end of Q3.
Okay. So, well, 2 questions that come out of that from listeners, viewers. Is obviously you're continuing to do work there. What's your expectation in terms of the AISC? I mean, I think you had a number previously. You're going to be doing this work to optimize that, and what do those savings mean in the new environment we're in today?
Yeah, I think in terms of all-in sustaining cash costs, we should come out somewhere in the range of $900 to $1,000 an ounce.
Right.
If we can do better than that, certainly will. And again, that assumes 0 high-grade gold. So any of that will help, increase the denominator and help bring that number down.
Right. So I think you used the word earlier, vindicated. So you feel that you're on the way to sort of vindicating the decision to acquire this, because again, you had a few critics at the time. I think the chat rooms would bear out that perhaps people think that's now quite a smart call of yours, especially with gold having done what it's done in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, with gold at $2,000 an ounce, having that
Australian
mill done,
dollars, just
2,000 Australian dollars an ounce. Yes, with Australian gold at that level, having done that mill deal when we did was very fortuitous because there's lots of low grade open pits scattered out throughout the Kalgoorlie region, and with gold at these levels, there's going to be a new surge of ore looking for a mill to process it to take advantage of these high gold prices. So
right.
We'll be in the position over the next 6 months here that as people are looking for capacity to process, we're one of the few people who have it.
And what's available. Remind me what the mill capacity is?
Yeah, it's about 1.2 million tons per annum.
Right. What's that work out a day? Is that? Oh, blimey.
That's about 3,500 tons a day.
Right. And you think that's the limit?
No, I mean there's potential to expand it further. Westgold was looking at options to make it a larger mill. So, for the right opportunity, if someone's looking for a capacity to mill a sizable resource, we again, if it makes sense for our shareholders and creates value for our shareholders, then it's something we'll take a look at.
Okay, and I don't quite understand the process for optimizing or upgrading it, but is that a sort of quick to market process?
It depends on sort of, how much you would want to expand it. Again, right now we want to focus on filling what we have. But, again, there's a number of different projects in the area. And, if there's an opportunity that makes sense, we'll definitely take a look at it.
And you have made a statement previously that you believe that the grades will improve at depth. Do you still feel that's the case with the new data that you've got?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things that, and we highlighted it in the release was, the sort of final hole of that Western Flanks campaign, which is sort of the deepest northernmost hole, had a fairly consistent grade across the intersection at over 6 grams per ton. So, if that's, we'll see when we continue to drill further north and further down what happens. But, if the grades continue levels, then that gets to a pretty exciting grade going forward.
Okay. Well, let's step back and we'll wait and see. What's the focus between now and December then for you? You've got a lot of moving parts here, right? And I'm looking at the share price today. Hasn't really moved on what is reasonably good news. I think maybe a few people taking the chance to cash in, which is fair enough, name of the game. But for you, what's important?
Yeah, no, again, we've been, focused on getting a multi-year reserve mine plan in place for Beta Hunt. And so that remains on track. And we'll look to have that in place by the end of the third quarter. Based on that, we'll then, look to ramp up the mine to the level that mine plan suggests makes the most sense and creates the most value. At Higginsville, we'll be looking to get Balu into production, by September. And then, between the optimization between the Higginsville property and Beta Hunt in terms of feed for that mill. And then on the Dumont front, we'll be kicking off, looking at, not kicking off, but, continuing to resume discussions with a number of people around partnering and financing on the Dumont project.
Well, that's great. That was one of my questions, actually, in terms of, have those conversations started up again, or are they about to resume?
Yeah, no, they've been ongoing. One of our team was just in Korea last week, so those discussions continue in earnest.
Also, by the way, congratulations on getting on the GDXJ Index. I think people perhaps haven't given you enough credit for that. I was talking to the CEO of a $700 million company this week who is quite keen to get on, $700 million market cap company who's very keen to get on the index, and you're obviously a lot smaller than that, but you've a very enthusiastic and following and trading, which I think has got you on there. So congratulations.
No, thanks. And that's the thing too, is the liquidity in the stock is something that's important for, to join an index. And so, that consistently good volume that we've shown through September, is what allowed us to join it. And obviously, was quite happy with the response post the index listing last week.
Yeah, it's. I think it's important to note that the importance of it. Obviously, again, looking back from September to now, shares 9 times higher than they were then, which is great. But you kind of just turned the corner and getting back to sort of where you were. Are you feeling kind of confident with the news coming through that people should start reacting to that in the marketplace? And if so, is it going to be institutional or retail?
Yeah, no, I think I think that one of the big things about this resource update and the A zone resource update to come, and then a reserve, is again, I think for some institutional investors, relative to the resource base that we had at the time, valuations look pretty rich. So the fact now that we're getting some pretty robust resource and hopefully robust reserves in place, will make it a lot easier for them to step into the story and step in a meaningful way. Fundamentally for investors today, yes, the share price is up quite dramatically, but my belief's always been is that we acquired this asset because there's a 5-kilometer ramp system sitting above what we think is 4 shears across 4+ kilometers, and so once we start demonstrating the resource potential of those shears, which I think today's announcement is a major step forward on that, the reality is there's very few multi-million ounce resources available in low-risk jurisdictions around the world. You have a bunch of Aussie mid-tiers that are cashed up with well-valued paper. You saw some transactions that occurred during the last month. And so, I think, over the next 6 to 12 months, if we continue to do what we're doing, it'll start getting a few knocks on the door, or maybe more than a few knocks on the door.
Well, you hope. I mean, I'd say, just to finish off, because I know your time is tight, you're running around the city at the moment. We got into this because we appreciated the rigor and the planning and the thought and the strategy to this. And you've always said from the start, this is going to be big. Question is, how big, right? You're now telling that story to the institutional brokers, the Haywoods, Cantor, Fitzgerald guys. How are they reacting to what's gone on over the last couple of months?
Oh no, I think again, I think getting the milling solution in place sort of took a big question mark around the asset away. Again, I think it's one thing for a CEO to say, oh, we've got massive resource potential. It's another thing to deliver 700,000 ounces of incremental resource at a discovery cost of less than $5 an ounce. Yeah. To again, I think take some of the question mark around what the potential could be. And again, now that we've demonstrated it for one shear, this next round of drilling is really going to step out and test some of the other shears, and I think, really start to sort of, show what the potential of this asset could ultimately be.
Right. Okay. And you think technically things are going as expected, as you planned? There haven't been any kind of hiccups since when we spoke last? No, Beta Hunt's working well. Higginsville, the integration's going well. We've got a great team in Australia in place. And so, with the Dumont update as well, we're firing on all cylinders on Dumont as well. Well, and talking of which, Cobalt 27, they just did quite an enormous deal with Pala Investments. Do you think that's been a good deal for Cobalt 27, for investors, for Pala?
Well, I think, with Cobalt 27 now becoming nickel 28, again, I think it highlights some of the potential is, in the nickel space. And I think, the portfolio of assets they had, between royalties and mining assets and stuff that is more nickel and less cobalt, or more cobalt and less nickel, it helps sort of, separate the assets and bring some clarity and focus to each of the portfolios. So, again, I think they've got a very fundamental belief in where cobalt's going, and so it's a transaction that they're paying a premium for, and so that.
It's interesting. No, I think congratulations due to Anthony. We're speaking to him shortly, actually, and also by inference yourself with Dumont. So don't forget Dumont. It's a big part of this story. Also congratulations, by the way. I just want to say that it's been a good month. Been a good month for shareholders, I think. You got to keep it going. The hard work's just begun. Yeah. But also, please pass my congratulations on to Russell Starr. He did a great presentation. I think anyone watching this should maybe look at Russell's presentation as well that he did, I think, last week.
Yeah, at the conference in the US there. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Does a good job talking.
Okay, well, I've taken up enough of your time. I know you were rushing off.
Okay, no, thanks, Matt. It was great to catch up, and we'll be catching up again soon.
Brilliant. Great work. Thanks, Mark. thank you very much for watching our video. We do aim to give you informed and intelligent information with which to make your investment decisions. So if you liked what you just saw, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more insightful, in-depth, honest and unbiased interviews, then please click the subscribe button. So thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.